So this is another request from someone that paid for this video. So he said, I want to know, number one, which car would you recommend and engine type? Then number two, how much would you suggest I budget for a Nigerian used Peugeot car, I suppose? Number three, how much will you charge to find a good Nigerian used I won't regret, because I know nothing about Peugeot reliability? Remember, the car is going to be used on Uber or both. Okay, let's start with number one. Which car will you recommend and the engine type? For the Uber business or both, I will recommend two vehicles for two Peugeot cars. It's not like every other ones. There are no other ones that cannot serve that purpose as well, but I usually recommend two. And that is either Peugeot 307 or Peugeot 406. I'll say it again, either Peugeot 307 or Peugeot 406. The reason why I recommend these two cars is because of the parts are not as expensive as the other models. Of course, you have like other smaller ones like 207, 206, but I don't think it will fetch you money in that business using that smaller car. Anyway, I don't know much about Uber or those things, but if you really want big, not like big luxury size, no, I mean normal size vehicle that your passengers can sit on, feel comfortable, and give you good ratings, Peugeot 406 and Peugeot 307 will serve you well on this. Peugeot, I don't know which year that the Uber and what's it called, both accept in terms of production year, vehicle production years. I know if for Europe, their engines for the 406, the production stopped in 2004. While 307, it continued up to 2008. Well, in Nigeria, the production continued for 406 and 307 till, I don't even know, honestly. I think 406 stopped sometime in 2008 or thereabout. And 307, I think it continued beyond 2010. I think, I'm not sure. So in that case, if Uber will accept 2004, then maybe, because the reason why I'm saying this, you can easily get a fully used one on these two vehicles and Nigerian use as well. But when it comes to 406, Peugeot 406, I tend to avoid the Nigerian used Peugeot 406. No, not just Nigeria. I tend to avoid the Peugeot 406 produced in Nigeria that is now, that has been used and want to be sold. So I tend to avoid them because they are the electrical cost of maintenance. It's not high, but if that car has been abused electrically, I don't think you will find it funny. That's just it. Their ECUs, they are available brand new if it comes to replacing it. But if you want to, which of course it's a little bit more expensive than the used one. But if you want to get the used one, it may take you months or even more than a year to find one. It may take you a day or two, but I'm telling you, they are not available. Remember, you are talking about Nigerian use, so there's already this expectation that the vehicle, mechanical, electrical, probably has been abused, so it may end up. I know my work is to get one that is not abused, but I'm saying, if you end up getting that non-abuse and during your ownership something happens or you now abuse it, and you're not going to find it fun. So the only unless you know, yes, I bought it on few occasions. Peugeot 406 were assembled in Nigeria. Bought Nigerian used one for people. I think I've done it maybe like 3 times or so or more. So you have to be extremely careful. As in, not just careful. You don't have to be extremely careful, honestly, but you just have to be a type that does not abuse vehicles. That's the only way you can enjoy Peugeot 406 assembly in Nigeria without bothering about the cost of replacing electrical component when bad. See, they give more, if the electrical is abused, they even give more headache than the foreign used Peugeot 406. Let me just put it that way. Even the engine wiring harness is not easily available. Let's assume your own, they butcher it or mess it up and you need to change the engine wiring harness. To get another good one, same thing with engine ECU. So that's why I normally prefer the foreign use. They are easily available, used one, cheap, you know. So that's for it. The 307, no, those ones are available, both the foreign used and Nigerian used, their parts, whatever. So in terms of fuel consumption, in that case, we'll now come to the engine, just like you asked. Fuel consumption, basically 307 and 406 consume almost the same, depending on the engine size. Of course, for business like Uber, my recommendation is to go for the smallest, or at least the average size engine or power. So you don't need to. So the idea of like the V6, the 2.2, no, those ones are off the table. So for 406, I normally recommend two engines for such purposes. That is the EW7J4 and EW10J4 engines. That's EW7J4 is 1.8 liter, EW10J4 is 2.0 liter. There are these two older engines that can serve the same way EW10J4 will serve. That's a SU7JP and SU10JP4R, I think. Forgotten I think that's the code. So my only concern with those two engines is that their maintenance you won't find it that funny. Sort of that. It's not like it's not durable, that is problematic. In fact, it's the same way with EW7J4, EW10J4. The SU7J4 is 1.8, while the SU10J4R is 2.0. So they are as good and fuel economical like the EW ones. But the only concern is availability of parts. Their parts are no longer, I won't say no longer, but they are hard to get brand new. So it means you will be relying only on second-hand parts. Even getting the timing belts for those engines is even a problem. Most times you end up buying the fake ones. Unlike the EW ones, the original, the fake ones are available. Second-hand are available. You have more options to choose from. But the SU one, they are limited. So you may end up, if you really want quality parts, the only solution that may even make more sense for you to order from outside Nigeria. So in that case, it should shoot up the cost of owning the vehicle in terms of maintenance. So as someone that is doing Uber, but you don't need to do that kind of all the time. You're ordering parts. When the car breaks down, you have to park the car and wait for weeks, days before the parts will arrive from outside Nigeria. You're spending all your money you're making ordering parts. It doesn't make sense. So I always recommend these two. So the EW engine. So you can go for any of them. And so the fuel economy of those ones, they're also as good as like when you come to 307. we have 1.4 liter, and we have 1.4, 1.6, and 2.0. So 1.4 is TU3JP. It comes only in manual. The 1.6 is TU5JP4. Comes in both auto and manual, while the 2.0 is EW10J4, and they are actually two, EW10J4 and EW10A. Of course, there are other two. I just keep that. There's another one, but that one is a sports version of 2.0, so it's going to consume a lot of fuel for you. I'm not saying it's high. The fuel consumption is extremely high, but it will consume more than all these ones. So you don't need a car that will be consuming fuel, which, because you won't be using all the features, the power of the engine. You won't be doing driving over and be speeding. Your passengers may rank you very low, and you don't really need that sort of thing. So but I always, when it comes to this Uber thing, I'll probably limit it to, when it on 307, limit it to either the TU3JP, which is the 1.4 liter engine. Just that one is not that easily available. They are not easily available. So it's as if you it may take you years to find oneself, or you have to order from outside Nigeria. So that one said Pan Nigeria did not produce that, I think. So it may be hard to even get Pan production. Like that's Nigerian assemble. So the one that is more easily available are the 1.6 liter TU5JP4 and EW10J4 2.0 liter. So of course the 1.6 liter consumes less in terms of fuel. The power is average, is okay. So yeah, personally I would recommend you go for that 1.6 since you are using it for Uber, not necessarily for just the 2.0 is okay. The fuel consumption is not that bad. But the 2.0, the fuel consumption is like almost the same with the 406 with EW10J4. So 1.6 will make more sense. The 1.6, I can tell you fantastically, that car, you'll be surprised that how much like 10 liters will cover for you. I mean, that car hardly consumes fuel. Once everything is intact, you'll be surprised how you go. I mean, here to Kaduna, 10 liters is as if I'm not saying you take it to Kaduna and bring you back, but man, you may consume maybe 6-7 liters. I can't really authoritatively say this has the more, but I mean, I was impressed. The one I followed once to Kaduna, which is about 240 kilometers, as in the fuel gauge just moved a little. I knew where it was when they added fuel. It was almost showing warning sign that fuel was low. Added fuel, so I know how much he put, know how many liters he put. Was in front, sitting while the driver was driving. Got to Kaduna, saw I was impressed, to be honest. And it wasn't like he was slow. It was moving normal speed. So yeah, that's the kind of engine in 307 I recommend for Uber. Yes. The transmission is up to you. It's up to you. I know I've said this so many times. Personally, I prefer manual in terms of lower cost of maintenance. In fact, to me, it's as if it's even zero maintenance cost when it comes to manual. It's only when it will cost you a little is when you don't know how to drive manual properly. In that case, every now and then you are burning your clutch. So you find out you are spending money. For example, the clutch kit, the clutch release bearing, the clutch pressure plate, and the clutch friction plate. These are the three components that usually change when a clutch have issues inside the bell housing. So use one, think cost between, depending on engine model, but I know they cost for 307, they cost between 12,000 to 15,000, I think, for now. New one, I think, from 30 to 40 something or so. But like I said, if you are very good with manual, it could last you thousands, hundreds of thousands of kilometers or years. They are talking about more than 10 years. So that's what I'm saying. It all depends on you. So in that case, you find out that probably you may not even need to be touching your gearbox at all throughout your ownership. Maybe you may decide, okay, to change the oil. And oil, though, recommended one I had to find here. But it's something you can order outside Nigeria and do it once. It may serve you up to 50 to 100,000 kilometers before you even consider changing. So that's what I'm saying. In terms of cost now, cost of maintenance is lower. But when it comes to automatic, it can also serve, but it's 50-50. Most people that bought them, every now and then, they are doing one repairs on their gearbox or the other, or they are changing their gearbox, or every time the gearbox, after a while, you start giving another sign, which could be because they are using wrong ATF instead of the recommended one. And the recommended one is not cheap. They are not cheap. Let me not say it's not, because there are quite a number of them that can be used for the AL4 automatic gearbox in both Peugeot 406 and 307. So the same gearbox, automatic. So they are not that cheap. The minimum, okay, maybe I've not come across all of them, but for the ones I know, the cheapest you can get is about 6,000 naira a liter. So now imagine you may need about 12 liters or more to actually properly service your gearbox, change your oil. I know people use only 4 liters, but it's not really enough. If you really want to get all the old oils out without dropping your engine or removing your gearbox from the vehicle, you need to spend or use up to 12 to 20 liters to do it properly. So in that case, imagine 6,000 plus, and you are supposed to be doing it every 30,000 kilometers. So that's why I say the cost of maintenance is high. And for example, let's assume your manual gearbox has a problem. The cost of buying a Tokumbo manual gearbox of Peugeot 406 with those two engines I mentioned is between 10 to 15,000. I may get it less or something. Now for Peugeot 307, I think they're about for the 1.6 liter engine in 307, I think it's about 25,000. I can't remember. I know it costs a little bit more than that of the 406 because of the demand. In other words, most people who buy the foreign use Peugeot 307 with automatic usually end up in Nigeria converting it to manual. So because of that, the demand for the manual gearbox in 307 is higher. So that's why it costs more. Unlike the 406, of course, you could even say like 90%, if not more than 90% of 406 you see on Nigerian roads are manual. So anybody that even want to convert automatic to manual in 406, the gearbox is abundant. In fact, you have to even select. Unlike 307, they are not even easily available. They are manual gearboxes. So you can understand. So, but when it comes to automatic in 407, in 406 and 307, the last time I checked, they said the Tokumbo automatic gearbox AL4 cost about 150,000. So you could see the differences. So it's up to you to make a choice. I know some people would rather live with that high cost of maintaining automatic, and there's nothing wrong with that. So they would rather choose it down and keep spending it as long as it makes them happy, than using manual. To them, manual is suffering. They don't like manual. So some people that do back consider that kind of business, you don't need to all the time changing your course, since you always be in traffic, and that you are also depressing moving gear lever, so that it can be more stressful than driving automatic. It's up to you. But maybe find a car, use it, drive it in. If that if you don't have that experience, maybe you could get a manual car, drive it in a traffic for like 3 hours, just for to see um, if you are okay with that. If you are not okay, go for automatic. But also understand that if a weak clutch components will make your clutch pedal heavy or strong to the press. But if you put a good one, it becomes softer. So the idea of suffering, you will not even see that or experience it. So if you are testing, make sure the one you want to use for test is also soft as supposed to be, the clutch pedal. That's all for the engine and the gear valve. So in other words, for the 406, either EW7J4 1.8 or EW10J4 2.0, any of them is good. They are all fuel economical. For 307, I highly recommend the TU5JP4, the 1.6. If you can find the 1.4, you better know that it comes only in manual. So 2.0 is there, but 1.6, I don't 2.0 will serve you, so but the point is 1.6 will consume less, so may not really make it's not like it won't make sense to go for the 2.0. It's just that there's more like a better option for this kind of business or purpose, so it doesn't really necessarily need. The only thing I would say when it comes to automatic in 307 is the automatic 307 with 1.6 liter automatic transmission can be very, very frustrating to people like us to drive. I don't know the type of person you are behind the wheel, whether I like acceleration, cars that are very quick on acceleration. The automatic can be dull on that engine in 307. It dulls the driving experience. It takes a while to pick up, so you have to wait for it. Don't rush it. If you rush it, the fuel consumption will shoot up. So just press it. It will just be taking itself off gradually. So but the manual, woof, you put it immediately, it's off. So if you really want to enjoy the automatic in 307, I would recommend you go for that EW10J4, the 2.0. I know we have EW10A, but see, when it comes to, especially I will observe most people that use 307 for Uber or look for Uber, cars that want to use for Uber, they don't like a car that the cost of maintenance is higher, which makes sense. So in other words, they will even prefer an engine or a vehicle with system that a local mechanic can understand, so that they will be spending less in repairs or diagnosis. Where I'm coming from is we have EW10A, which is also a 2.0 liter petrol engine, Peugeot 307, with both automatic and manual options. But that one needs someone that understands, or you don't see, local mechanics will not be able to help you on that engine. You need someone who maybe a specialist like me, or maybe you are into DIY, or there's a mechanic that actually understands what it takes not to abuse cars. So the system is a little bit complex. That's where I'm coming from for that EW10A. So if you can't afford to be giving your car to someone that may charge you a little bit more in terms of diagnosing and repairing your car, or you are not ready to do it yourself, then don't even bother about that 2.0 EW10A. So that's why you could see I didn't even discuss it in all these things I've been saying. So keep that one out, unless you want to be doing it yourself. The parts are not that expensive, but the systems are complex a little more than the EW10J4, the 2.0, the other 2.0. So the other ones, these other engines I talked about, local mechanics, yeah, they have some understanding of them. So I'm not saying they won't abuse them or they don't abuse them, no, but at least it's not, they don't need to crack their brain that much to figure out the issues. But the other one, wow. In fact, they will hate, once you bring it, they open the road, they will condemn it. So in that case, you even know that you are already in hustle. Because when somebody condemns something, me, he doesn't even know or understand that system. So how do you expect him to be able to figure out what the issue is when you already hate what he condemns? So moving on. Um, how much will you charge me to find a good Nigerian use I won't regret? Because I know nothing about Peugeot reliability. I don't. All those words people say Peugeot reliability. I mean, strike it off. All those things are just nonsense. I don't even know who started using that crap. Because the idea of reliability, from what I now understand from users, it's not just a matter of being subjective. It's like it's not even non-existent. People, when it comes to reliability, they will even expect a bulb. If a bulb fails to them, it means the car is not reliable. So sometimes it's useless to me. I don't use that word anymore. I prefer the word dependability. A car you can depend on that can take you any part of the world or part of the country, Nigeria you want, and bring you back, without you opening the bonnet often, or putting on a scan tool, or visiting mechanic workshop all the time. That's where I'm coming from. The car, you won't even bother whether it will. I mean, you are going there and you are coming back. Of course, once in a while you could break. So you break down, something will happen. It's wear and tear. It's supposed to happen. It doesn't matter which brand of vehicle or vehicle model. But I'm saying on average, you are not bothered whether this will happen. That's what I mean by dependability. So the idea of reliability now is, to me, it's not in my dictionary anymore. People use it for so many unthinkable things. It will be like, are you even ready to own a car if you're expecting nothing is supposed to ever give you warning on a vehicle for years? I mean, seriously, how entitled are human beings be these days? So, what I charge now is like that. I charge 30,000 for anybody that wants me to conduct a search and do pre-purchase inspection for Peugeot vehicles, check the system, and start for used ones. When I do, I don't do it that I'm looking for a perfect vehicle. No. In fact, I'm expecting to see a fault. I'm expecting. So what I now do is I evaluate the fault found. If it's worth it, then I recommend. If it's not worth it, I walk away. So there's no. I just use the opportunity to tell people, if you're expecting that I'll go and do this thing so that you won't spend a kobo after purchase, you just drive. No, it doesn't exist. Even Tokumbo vehicle, it does not exist. Once your car is moving, things will be wearing out. The difference is that people who are not technically minded may not actually know these things are already wearing out. They only know about it when the thing has already finally packed up, so the car now stops. Or the warning now pops up that, see, it's already dead. That's the only time they know. So, but people like us who are actually technicians or understand these systems, we can actually, we focus more on preventative maintenance. So when we see, this is about to give up, so you don't need to wait for it to give up, just deal with it. Or maybe this has actually failed, but it doesn't really affect using the vehicle. It won't stop you from traveling with the car. It won't stop you from, it may not affect your fuel consumption or this and that, or may not even be showing warning on the screen. Most people may not even notice that the fault is there, but they keep using. For example, a weak suspension, they may not even know the suspension is weak, but to them, everything is normal. But people like, once you drive, we feel it immediately. So that's where I'm coming from. So I can get one that's not severely abused. That's what I do. I look at a car, even if it's there are some parts of the vehicle that the previous users or owner have abused or messed up a little, that is not meant to be. When I'm talking about abuse, I'm not talking about when a component failed. That's not abuse. Abuse is you go to a perfectly working system and mess it up. You put it in a wrong way, connect it wrongly, try to do something that will virtually affect the entire vehicle. or mess up the part or something that thing works with. You can alter a vehicle components. I do it. You guys know I do a lot of I've done a lot of conversion on my cars, so it's not like they are now factory or stock. But I do them in such a way that it will not affect anything. In fact, the vehicle will even be working as if the conversion I did or the altering I did was even from brand new. That's how the car was produced from new. So that's what I mean. So it's when you want to alter something on a vehicle, you have to do it in a safe way, so it won't affect the vehicle system. The vehicle can still work well or even better than it was when you did that thing. So that's what I mean. But so abuse means people do all kinds of things. Cut wire, join it, do that, leave some. I can go on and on. When it comes to mechanical, they're using the wrong fluid, they're using coil, they're moving thermostat, doing this, do so many things. So that's what I mean by abuse. So I look for the ones that, even if maybe they did some abuse on the verticals, I'll look at the system. If it can be reversed with minimum cost, and well, I'll consider that. If it's an abuse that will going to cost so much and even time, or to even figure out how to fix it or reverse the entire thing, then I'll walk away. Same thing with mechanicals. In fact, like I said, always first my priority is the body of the car, how good they are, the entire body is the interior of the car. Even if it's a little bit bad, or how much will it cost to get it back in good shape? Then basically the electrical is more like the second thing. So interior is like the third. What's the condition of the electrical part of the system as far as modern Peugeot is concerned? The mechanicals are like the last thing I check. And when I check, I'm not checking them like, oh no, if I see the engine blowing smoke, I walk away. No, it won't stop me. I would rather let everything be in perfect shape, as in the entire body or this and that, the mechanical, the electrical, even if the engine is dead, even if the gearbox is dead, I will recommend the vehicle. So because it's a part, you can just remove it, put another engine or rebuild it. But when you get one that the electrical is a mess, or the body has been messed up, panibited right and there, it now goes out of shape, I mean, it's going to be a horrible experience during your ownership. So that's what I do. So I charge 30,000. Now when it comes to the cost, to get a Nigerian used one, like you said, how much will you budget for, which you mentioned number 2. That one, Nigerian used Peugeot 406, clean non-abused ones, the average price is around that 1.5. That's it, the average price. I'm not saying you can't get less, but the average price, that's if you want to get one today now, you go out there, 1.5, you just need to have it. Now, you can get it less, but quite challenging to get one that will sell less than ₦1 million. Are there, is it possible, or are they available? Of course they are. It's not everybody that sells cars based on their values, the actual resale values. Some people just, let me just sell this car. It's not about making money out of it. I already have plans to buy another car, or I've gotten money to buy another car. Let this one go. Or maybe I just need some small thing from this to add and get another one. Or maybe I'm traveling out of the country, so it's no longer about selling to make money. So whatever it is, sell it off. Or most people do it like, oh, I don't even know the value of this car, so whatever I get for me itself is even big. Probably to me, less than ₦1 million is even too much. So this kind of deals do come up once in a while. So the thing is, it could take days, weeks, months before you could come up with such a deal. That's where I'm coming from. But if you want, like right now, same thing applies to 307. Right now, the average price for a clean Nigerian used non-abused 307 is around that 1.2 to 1.5. So if you now want, can you get? It's difficult. See, all this I'm saying because remember I buy cars for people. So I've been going. I do go around all the time. Calls, do this. I know for a lot of contacts. So I go around to do inspection. So I know how much it's difficult to get these cars. These two particular Peugeot models, Nigeria use less than ₦1 million, but it's possible. I know I've gotten maybe like one or two in the past for people, you know, below the average cost, as in even the expected prices below. So it's possible. And but understand that when you get such cars, expect there will be some repairs. Most of them sell because, okay, the engine is weak. See, I don't even want to bother replacing the engine to sell. So whoever that will buy, let him buy. Some will sell maybe the body, everything is intact, but the paint have worn off, it has peeled off everything. So whoever will buy, let him go and spray the vehicle, the body. Depending on quality, it could cost between 70 to 300,000, depending on your test of paint quality you like. Or it could be the gearbox, maybe it's automatic. I started giving him problem, and he was like, I'm not ready again to change this gearbox. Just sell it. Whoever will buy, let him go and change. So it all depends. So sometimes when you're buying these cars that are as in cheaper than the expected prices, expect that you are most likely going to add more up money to the person compared to the person that will buy that one of 1.5. That's the point. So the one that will buy the one of 1.5 may only spend a little bit money on the preventative maintenance and stuff like that, and maybe even if there's any other small fault, it could be something he could be managing pending when he can afford to do those ones, since those ones may not really affect using the car. But the person, when you're buying those cheap ones, which maybe the electricals are intact, the engine is intact, but the interior is in bad shape, or the engine is, you will realize that you may need to spend maybe 100K less or a little bit more to be able to actually use the car before you even consider the preventative maintenance repairs. So that's the point. So when I recommend such ones that are that cheap, I do it in such a way that even if the car was abused, the abuse done on it is something that can easily be reversed. It's just that you have to spend a little. It's not that it won't take much time. All you just spend this and you enjoy the car. So that's it. So even if you are buying the one of 1.5, like I said, you still have to do some repair. You have to change engine oil. Maybe the tires may not even go in good condition. You are not going to reject a car because the tires are bad. Because these are wearable parts. Even when you buy one with good tires, give it a year or two. The tires may need to replace again. So you don't consider those things when you buy cars. So you need to change the timing belts. Yeah, you do all those things. The timing kit, the auxiliary kit, you do it. So you still have to spend. As long as you're buying a used car, you have to spend. You don't just rely on what the previous user did on the car and they tell you buy and drive. That's if you follow that, you find yourself in a mess. You have to do some preventative maintenance repairs and then monitor it yourself. What if the person puts condemned engine oil and move for another engine into that vehicle before he sold the car? Because he's just saying, he will say anything to sell the car. He tell you changed the oil last week, or you changed the timing belt last week with the original one. You just want to sell the car, and once you buy it, maybe even on your way from that his house, the timing belt may cut. And the engine will be ruined. That is none of his business anymore. It's your property, so you have to deal with it. So that's why you have to consider all those things. I really tell people, look for money, even if you don't have enough, and get the car you can afford. If you have to borrow. Then if you don't have more to use in fixing the car, you can pack the car. Maybe a week, 2, even a month or more. When the money comes, you fix those things and start using the car. Don't be in a hurry. That's the mistake most people make. And they use it to buy nightmares in the name of cars. They want cars, they will immediately start and drive off so that they won't have to spend any kobo. So because of that, they look for any They don't want to hear stories. They just look for the one the person says is buy and drive, and then they end up buying nightmares because to them, they know they don't want to start spending another money. Look for something even if there's a small problem, fine. I can't afford it now. When you can afford it, deal with it. Then you start enjoying it. You still have years in front of you ahead of you to enjoy the vehicle, rather than trying to enjoy it in a week immediately, and then now realize that your 500, your 800, your 2 million naira or more is a waste. I don't know if I've answered all your questions. No, I think I've done that. So, for any other person who is interested, if you want this kind of response to your questions on Peugeot cars, you contact me. You see my WhatsApp phone line on this video description and probably in the comment section. And then either pay 1,500 for one video response, or 30,000 for numerous, just consultancy services. Anytime you want, you can always call me and talk. Okay, that's all.